Good evening, friends. Week 6 is upon us. Things are starting to shake out in the Massillon Fantasy League the way they usually do. Some teams are doing bad in selling. Some teams are doing good in buying. Some teams are so good they don't even have to buy. Looking at you, Rob P. I'm Ryan. He's Dan. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing great, buddy. Excited to be here. Talk about some nonsense.
You sound thrilled.
Hate fantasy football.
Yeah, it's been a rough season for you. Let's jump into lessons learned last week, Dan. So JR takes down the high score was my first note that JR is definitely a contender with Jonathan Taylor. I brought that up. You brought that up. We brought that up multiple times after he made that trade. But Rob P, only 3 fewer points than JR. Rob P's out here losing his quarterback, losing his best receiver, still handling business.
Yeah, I mean, just everything's... Thanks, buddy.
Darren,
I don't know what to say anymore. My team's on IR.
Darren admiring in the background. Yeah, that was wild when you brought that up. I had to go look at your team there, too, with everybody else. Your whole team, your whole bench currently on IR, I believe. Dan, the next thing that struck me was crazy. So obviously we talked about this on the show last week. Phil was taking the L. He was not starting a roster because of bye week issues. So Phil ends up not starting 3 people. And I win the game pretty handily, 56 points or whatever it was, 52 points. But Dan, that got me to thinking, how the fuck did Taylor win a game by 128 points back in 2021? I went and looked. 181-53 playing JR. JR started a full lineup that game. JR's quarterback scored 12 fantasy points. No one else on that team scored more than 8, and his defense scored -2. Meanwhile, Taylor had 5 guys score 20-plus fantasy points. And it's just crazy to me to think that that is in this league's current scoring, everything, that he was able to pull that off. Whereas I'm going up against a guy not starting 3 players, and he still scored 23 more fantasy points than what JR scored that week.
I think JR should be given an extra loss every season as punishment for getting beat that bad.
Well, I think my favorite part about that is before Taylor beat JR, Taylor was the worst beatdown from me. I had beat Taylor by, I think it was 120.5 points. And Taylor put a full touchdown on top of that to take the record. It's crazy. Like I said, we're at this stage where like everybody's setting lineups and again, Phil made the conscious decision to not start a lineup, and I still only beat him by 50 and the record and 70 points away from the record.
I'm going to say that record will never be broken.
I would have thought the 120 would have never been broken too. So I don't disagree. It's probably never going to be broken, but it is wild.
I think that in today's day and age of fantasy football, where I feel like the game has changed a little bit, where there's so much information out there for everyone, and it keeps getting more and more every year, that I think people that paid attention 10 years ago had more of an advantage over everyone.
Just not that thing anymore.
I don't think so. I think there's so much information out there about guys like Puka Nacua, ahead of time.
Yeah, and then some idiot drops him. I always say that about IDP. I used to play in IDP leagues 10 years ago, and you didn't find out your guy was out until he was out, and like you had already started him, to where now the information is at least caught up and people respect the IDP positions the same way they respect the offensive positions. But yeah, definitely a different day and age. Dan, last thing I always like to talk about are the trades. We saw one this week. It was Taylor trying to buy his way into the playoffs. Taylor sitting at 2 wins right now. Horvath also sitting at 2 wins, but Horvath saw the writing on the wall with the injuries he was dealing with. Horvath sells James Cook, who is a top 5 running back, but Horvath gets 6 picks. Taylor's 1 through 5, and there happen to be 2 threes in there. Pretty wild trade, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he had any other offers out there besides this one. Maybe someone else offered him a 1, a 2, a 4, a 6, and Zay Flowers and maybe a Trey Benson or something. I don't know. Maybe that was an offer out there with players to keep him, relevant this year. He might have declined it like the day before or 2 days before. So I don't know. Crazy things can happen sometimes.
So Dan was trying to buy James Cook and did not get him. Good to know. And then Taylor said he's a record book kind of guy, just not overall record, Dan. You got to love that.
So Dan, he does hold records. I'll give Taylor credit. He does hold records.
When we look at the standings, Dan, Rob P still on top. Rob Mott's, the Robs, the only 2-4 win teams. We got quite a few 3-win teams in the top 7. And then right now, the only 2-win team in the top 8 is Kenny. And that's, of course, based on total points. Dan, I had to remove you from my playoff list this week. The disrespect for Rob Mott's could continue no longer. Rob Mott's in my playoff picture. Dan Metzger out of my playoff picture.
I think the playoffs are set.
Really?
Yep, those are my 6.
What, the top 6?
Yeah.
So Eric's the pretender and the top 6 get in?
I take that back. Let's knock Phil out and put Taylor in. I think eventually Phil will fall and Taylor gets in.
So I also am still disrespecting Phil, but I'm putting Terry in because I still like Terry's team quite a bit. Terry's sitting at 9.
You're saying Taylor doesn't get in?
I have no Taylor in. Disrespecting my
Taylor,
brother.
I'm trying to respect you, buddy.
I'm not. I looked at it. Those were the 2 I was trying to decide between. That's for sure. We just get a transaction live on the show. Phil out here signing Zach Ertz. Phil's just a tight end kind of guy.
Hope he's watching the show. We hope not to do
that. Starting Zach Ertz and Taysom Hill this week, apparently.
He did that earlier this year with the Browns. He had a tight end, and he also started the Browns tight end too, the backup.
I do remember that.
Yeah, Phil loves to start 2 tight ends, but Phil's just a tight end kind of guy.
Yeah, I feel like he did it last year too when we were busting his balls.
You know what? He did.
Yeah.
The best fantasy guy in Canton in the show. Love to see it.
Yeah, he said hola. Taylor said, I'm just the older, jealous brother. I am jealous of those championships. Can't deny that at all. Dan, let's get into week 6. But for those of you who didn't notice my screen name, I'm remembering to start with the record today for no reason other than the fact that, Dan, I got every fucking one of them right last week. 7-0. I don't remember that happening in a very long time. That brings me up to 23 right. You went 4-3. Darren went 3-4. You were at 19 wins, and Darren is at 18, correct? So
you might have already closed the deal on this one too, man.
There you go. Everything's locked up. As we always do. We'll just give them in the order that Sleeper gives them to me. This week it is me versus Horvath. I am projected to win this one by 40-ish right now. Horvath sold out at the perfect time for me. Only Thursday matchup was A.J. Brown looking pedestrian as hell, as he often does. Dan, I didn't take a ton of notes on this one, mainly because Horvath sold. He's starting 2 pretty mediocre running backs, though Gainwell looked good before the bye, and Ramondre Stevenson seems to not even be able to fumble himself out of a job. But then I have the big advantage at tight end and big advantages at running back. This one seemed like a pretty easy call for me. I didn't take a ton of notes here.
No, you're going to win probably by about 50 again.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and I have Darren's picks this week for the first time ever. He had them ready for the live show. So all 3 of us concur there with me with the win. And Dan, they put you as my second matchup this week. So you got you taking on Eric, 2-3 versus 3-2. Eric trying to prove he is not a pretender. Eric had a pretty decent Thursday night as well. Gets 15 points out of Jalen Hurts and another 17 points out of his IDP, Brian Burns. Dan, you have not had anyone go yet. Because it's your matchup, I'll get started. I have this one as close. And when I have this one as close, it almost always comes down to quarterback. The fact that Eric's quarterback is already in the books, I'm giving him the win there. And Brian Burns' IDP day, I think, was enough as well. So I'm going Eric in this one.
I agree. Taking Eric. My team's just been cold.
They really have.
So, yeah.
Your total points aren't bad. I was noticing that when I was looking at the league scoring this week. Like, your team can do it. I've
had bad luck schedule-wise. I've had the toughest schedule in the league.
Yeah, I noticed that too. You've had the most points against. This is not the best time to ask this question, but you do have Chase Brown. And this I found interesting. Sleeper has Xavier Worthy as doubtful. This man is not even on the injury report. He is playing and not on an injury report. So I found that very strange. When I was doing my rankings for Fantasy Pros, I was very confused by why Sleeper has Xavier Worthy as doubtful.
Didn't even catch that.
But Dan, I was going to ask you, does Joe Flacco fix things for your Bengals? How do you feel about that trade? Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think he's probably better than Browning. Unless he comes in, and I've heard he's like this. Like I was listening to a podcast that he's going to come in and just like light some of that offensive line up and be like, "You're not going to embarrass me," kind of attitude with them. And I know Burrow's not that kind of guy to ever act like that toward him. So maybe that's something they need is individual people.
Yeah.
And I know they are getting a little healthier. They're getting their starting left guard back. It's possible. The defense, I think, has played better. I mean, I know they gave up like 38 points to Detroit last week, but most of that was coming off the 3 interceptions that Browning threw. They gave them the ball inside the 30-yard line. Like, if your defense is not going to stop a good offense repeatedly, and they got a couple stops in there, but just, I mean, when it's every single time,
what are you
going to do?
Browning definitely has a turnover issue. Flacco, not much better, though. Browning has 8 picks. Flacco has 6. So Flacco's going to need to protect the ball. I think Flacco's more likely to push the ball down the field, though, which I think is going to be good for everybody. I just don't know how much it's going to help Chase Brown.
Browning threw the ball down the field. It was so inaccurate. Like, I mean, he was missing guys downfield. Like, the ball's supposed to be on the outside of the numbers. He's throwing it 10 yards inside the numbers.
Yeah.
The one pick, I'm not sure how much of it you saw, but the one pick he threw, Jamar Chase had 3 yards on the corner on an out, and he threw it so far behind Chase it went straight to the corner. It wasn't even.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Close to him. I mean, he has lost his velocity. He has lost his accuracy. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly was terrible when you trade for Joe Flacco and immediately name him the starter. Like, I found that strange. I thought it would be one more week of Browning to try to prove himself. But
yeah, I was shocked it was Flacco. I thought there were some different options out there they could have went. I expected it to be either Jameis or Russell Wilson coming from New York.
Exactly.
If they were going to make the move. But here we are, Joe Flacco.
There you go. Moving on, we got the next game. Darren, 0-5. Darren shooting for that Dave Wood season. Darren sitting at 0-5. JR sitting at 3-2. JR sitting pretty. Dan, I'll let you get us started on this one.
Taking JR. I don't think we need to talk too much about this. Probably another 50-60 point game here.
I had it as closer than I thought it would be, but I think JR's running backs get the job done. And then I really wanted to point out the running back, the matchups for JR's running back. Baltimore, one of the worst defenses in the league. Arizona, not a great defense against the running backs. I think those 2 running backs could put up major points this week for JR. But I agree, we don't need to spend a ton of time on this.
I was gonna say, I would be shocked if Darren had actually more than one player actually outscore his counterpart. Like, he might get him here at the IDP. But other than that,
I imagine he's going to get the IDP. Nick Bonito.
I don't know that he's going to outscore him at any other spot.
I say Nick Bonito has been really good this season, and then the Jets give up sacks. So I think that's a good one. But I get what you're saying there. Darren even mentioned in the chat earlier that it could be his team that helps somebody break that record after us shitting on JR to start this show. Maybe it'll be JR breaking that record against Darren's team. Kenny, 2-3 right now, taking on Phil, 3-2 right now. Phil is just now filling in his lineup. Like I said, going with that 2 tight end set. Nobody had anybody going on Thursday. Sleeper has Phil losing this matchup by 5. Kenny winning by 5. What do you got here, Dan?
I'm going to take Kenny with a close win.
I also have Kenny. By the way, we have agreed on every pick so far. I have not been mentioning that. I had Eric. I had JR. I also have Kenny, and Darren agrees with us on every one of these picks. So far we are consensus across the board with these. I was looking at this one, Dan, and it kind of struck me as an ugly matchup. Like, when I started looking at this, I liked Phil's team, but it started shifting the more I scrolled down, because I love Jordan Love against the Bengals this week. Not that I don't like Fields, but Denver's a tough matchup. I liked everything I was seeing on Phil's team. And then as we got down, I started shifting to liking Kenny's team a little bit more. And then what made the decision for me, Green Bay taking on Cincinnati, I do still believe Joe Flacco will turn the ball over. I like that as a better defense than San Francisco. I will say a lot of Green Bay, Cincinnati implications to this matchup.
I agree. I also think that Jacobs could have a big game against that Bengals defense.
Yeah.
But
what about Jamar Chase flu game?
People get that stuff too hyped up. He's sick. He'll be fine. He's going to play.
That's what I was asking. I figured you would be.
I don't think he's going to go crazy because he's sick. He has Joe Flacco as his quarterback. Come on now.
So not Jordan flu game.
Let's also talk about the fact they're going against a great pass rush with
and you have a statue.
Probably a terrible offensive line.
I was lucky enough to be invited to do Sirius satellite radio last night, and I tried to call
that in there.
I tried to call Joe Flacco.
I literally watched your head grow as you said it.
I said the statue of Joe Flacco, but I accidentally said the Flacco of Joe statue, and they loved it, and they want to call Joe Flacco Joe statue from this point forward. So, a excellent slip of the tongue on Fantasy Diehards last night. But yeah, that was really cool.
That's pretty funny.
Joe statue.
Congratulations on being on the radio, buddy.
I have friends in high places. They invite me to shit. We got Greg versus Rob. Rob brought Greg into this league. It's been a tumultuous season for Greg, but he is 2-3. Rob's sitting at 4-1, and Greg jumps out to a massive Thursday night head start. 57 points, 27 coming from Scatterbo, only 6 from Devonta Smith, but then another 23 from his tight end. Dan, the more I looked at this one, I wanted to pick Rob because he's the better team. You can't come back from that. Rob has good players, but I just do not see him coming back from that. I'm sticking with Greg in the big lead from the big jump on Thursday.
I wish Nico Collins was playing.
Yeah, that bye week puts Rob in a tough spot.
Because Greg's not going to put another wide receiver in. He has one receiver out.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if he actually catches it this week because he actually has the player this week where he can go and put Xavier Legette or Tyler Lockett in. I'll be interested to see if he sets the lineup.
I'm taking Mott's.
Wow.
Jared Goff outdoor in a windy day at Kansas City is not going to have a monster game. His other running back might get 3 points. So if his 2 running backs combined for 30, that's not insurmountable in number.
You're not wrong.
His one receiver's out. His other receiver got 6 points. Rob's getting the win.
I mean, you're the only one to pick that. Me and Darren took the easy way out here. We both took Greg in this matchup. So that is the one difference on the show so far. Darren and I have Greg. You have Rob Motts. I just think that Thursday was just a little bit too much, as I mentioned. Stevie versus Rob P. Probably my favorite matchup of the week. This has actually been my championship preview for the entire season. They're facing off each other in week 6. It's a very close matchup. Nobody got anything monster out of Thursday night. Saquon Barkley has been decidedly average. Zach Bond did not do well. Philly's defense certainly let Rob P down. Right now, Stevie is projected to win this one by 5 points. Dan, I'll be interested to hear your take first.
Saquon only getting 7 hurts. If I'm going to say Jared Goff's not going to have a great game, I have to say St. Brown's not going to have a great game either. I think Junkins could have a good game against Pitt. Don't love the fact the Eagles defense only got on 1 point. That's tough.
Yeah.
Because your IDP and your defense, that's been winning people games, and he just got 5 points out of that. I'm going to go Stevie.
Go Stevie?
I'm going to go Stevie.
Well, Rob, and I agree.
I think you have a good chance to take the win, though, man. I think it's a close game.
And Darren agrees with you. Darren actually selecting Rob P in this matchup. This is a tough game. Obviously, you did not enjoy what you got from Barkley, but as you pointed out, you didn't enjoy what you got from the Philly defense. And then you turn around. I think the Denver defense against the Jets can put up massive points for Stevie. And I think while most positions in this game are close, what Stevie has, I think it was at RB2. No, maybe it wasn't RB2. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say in my notes here, but I think defense could end up being the thing that decides this one. So I'm betting on the defense. I'm betting on Denver. I'm going with little Stevie and agreeing with you. Darren does have Rob P. And then that brings us, I found this interesting, Dan, because you brought up the same people that I brought up. I had Terry and Taylor. I was trying to decide who was going to make the playoffs. They face each other this week. Both teams sitting at 2-3. Nobody had anybody go on Thursday. Dan, this is the highest projected matchup in the league right now, 121 to 113. I think this might be the only matchup where both teams are projected above 110 points. Nobody goes on Thursday. How do you see this one shaking out?
If this was a normal week, where White wasn't the starting running back for Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah.
Where Tyreek Hill wasn't hurt and Waddle was just his normal wide receiver 2 getting 7 points, I would have picked Taylor. But Taylor being forced to start Henderson, who's not done anything.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying forced to start. He has Kamara. Kamara's hurt.
Right. Well, I know Kamara's hurt, so he has Swift he could put in too.
But he also has Swift in what could be an interesting matchup. It did also come out today. I guess I could have mentioned this in the last matchup. The Jets are shopping Breece Hall, and the Saints are not shopping Alvin Kamara. So that Saints situation is pretty well what that Saints situation is without injury. That Breece Hall situation gets interesting, especially on the same day that there are rumors that the Chargers are begging for running back help right now.
Interesting. I did not see that.
So I don't know that the Jets are going to force a move on Breece Hall until Braylon Allen can come back. Or I've actually heard Braylon Allen is more of a 6 to 8 week injury than a 4-week injury. So I don't know. There's a lot to break down there. I guess we could talk about that more after this. It sounds like you're leaning towards picking Terry because
I am leaning towards picking Terry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Terry to get the win. I think it's a close game. I think Taylor hangs in there. I wouldn't be shocked if he got the win.
I'm also picking Terry. I think Ashton Genty is going to have a good week, but one of you kind of noted what I wanted to talk about with Terry's team and why I picked Terry for the final playoff spot. I've been shitting on Terry's receivers all season long. Michael Pittman is playing great with Daniel Jones, and now Jalen Waddle is his team's wide receiver 1. You throw in the fact that he is clearly the best tight end in fantasy right now. Terry's team is coming alive at the right time for him to make a run, solidify a playoff spot. And of course, he has Josh Allen, which usually gives him a step up against most matchups in this league. And Darren agrees with us, by the way. Darren has Terry picked in this one. So when we look at these 7 matchups, there are a couple of differences. Me and Darren agreed on every matchup except for Stevie versus Rob P. So Darren has Rob P. I have Stevie. You also have Stevie in that matchup. When I look at me versus you, we agree on every matchup except for Greg versus Rob Motz. So I'm not going to be cocky like you were last week. And thank you for picking Rob Motz when he's already down 57 points. I'm going to star Taylor's comment because we have to have a little bit of a fight here. I'm not going to be cocky and thank you for picking Rob Motz, but I do think that I almost feel like I'm cheating taking the team with a 57-point advantage coming out of Thursday night. Just my thoughts. So that'll be interesting.
I look forward to listening to you eat your humble pie next week.
There you go. So Taylor wants to give me shit saying that the tight end matchup in his matchup is equal. And I, of course, closed out the matchup to look at it. But who's he starting? Njoku? Darren Waller?
No, it's Waller. It is Waller.
Get out of here. Now, Waller has been great in his first couple of games back. But I will throw out there, Derwin James with the Chargers has been locking down tight ends, held Zach Ertz to 1 target, no catches last week. I am very concerned about Darren Waller. He actually did not even make the top 10 in my rankings this week.
I think he'll be top 10, but I don't think that he's in Ferguson's area right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think he's in Ferguson's stratosphere. Jake Ferguson scores since CeeDee Lamb goes down 12 points, 17 points, 15 points, 21 points. Those are monster scores for a tight end in our scoring.
Those are good scores. Darren Waller in his 2 games has,
what's he got?
16 and 14.
16 and 14. So I guess I can see where Taylor thinks he's coming from, but I'm going to wholeheartedly disagree that I do think the defense matters. And then the other part is the Chargers shutting down tight ends versus the Panthers, who bleed fantasy points to tight ends. Panthers, last I checked, give up the third or fourth most, or maybe even the most, to fantasy tight ends. So I am all in on Jake Ferguson, as I am most weeks. Dan, as we move on to end the show, as we always do with the game, last week, Steve Horvath takes it down for his second win of the season. Horvath had Jared Goff, Jonathan Taylor. None of us picked the top quarterback. None of us picked the top flex. It was a good week for quite a few people. Honestly, I had the worst week out of anybody. But that ties you and Horvath with 2 wins, me with 1 win. We are the only ones to take wins so far in this contest. Dan, I always give you the option. Would you like me to go first?
Nope, always take you, sir. You don't need to ask.
All right. Well, I was looking at the matchups, and there is a game I like this week that I think is going to have an interesting over-under. It's a game where we see 2 second-year quarterbacks, the first pick and the second pick, facing off. I'm looking for upside here. I know you don't like this guy, but I think he's turned a bit of a page this season. I'm going with Caleb Williams. I think we're going to see a lot of throwing against Washington. Washington is the team that gave up those 3 touchdowns to Trey Tucker a few weeks ago. And then on top of that, because I'm going Caleb and because I know how bad Washington can get beat by wide receivers, I'm going with the stack. So I'm going Caleb and Roma Dunze. Love that Roma Dunze kid, as I've told you multiple times.
Samesies.
You want the same 2 players?
Oh, no. I just meant I love them too. I'm going with a stack as well. I'm just taking a stack that's just going against a god-awful defense. I'm going to take Stafford and Puka.
Stafford and Puka.
Going against Baltimore.
Yeah. So a couple of stacks here. I think that's a great one. My concern with that game, and it's a game I've been trying to analyze back and forth, I just hope Baltimore is able to keep it a game so that we don't have to worry about them just deciding to run the ball the whole second half is my main concern. So
here's the thing. I don't care if Stafford plays the fourth quarter. If he throws 4 touchdown passes and 2 to Puka in the first 3 quarters, he can sit and rest.
Yeah.
Which is entirely a possibility with how bad Baltimore's defense is.
Just trying to get some of people's picks in here as well. Yeah, I cannot believe how absolutely awful that defense has been. It just makes...
It's that whole team has been awful. That offensive line has not been good. Derrick Henry looks like he's past his prime now and career's pretty much done. I mean, he looks great, but he just can't play football anymore.
Nate busting your ball says you are really proud of your aquarium. Are we telling people what you're doing?
I don't care.
Okay. I mean, I brought this up to Dan a few weeks ago that he has had a different background on every show. And so now he is making sure he has a different background on every show. And it's getting half a screen. It's almost as big as my head and my ego if you let these guys tell it. Dan, our good buddy Nate actually has a question. And that's where he came to the show right from the rip, was asking questions. So he says, over in a dynasty league, would you send 2 1s and Cam Ward for Jahmyr Gibbs and Dylan Gabriel? And it sounds like he already has Shadur Sanders, so he's going to have the Browns starting quarterback no matter what happens. So the question is Jahmyr Gibbs worth 2 1s? And I think he absolutely is.
I wouldn't do that.
No,
I would not do that. 2 1s. I mean, how big is this league? Like that's my first question. If you're talking about a 10-team league, so 2 top 10 picks and Cam Ward. First of all, if the Browns truly suck like they've been sucking,
well, I guess yeah.
Dylan Gabriel's a 3rd round pick. Sanders is a 5th round pick. That whole team and that front office, the coaches, they're all gone at the end of the season.
Yeah.
The GM and head coach are going to come in and want to pick their own quarterback if they're picking in the top 3 next year anyway. So you don't know that Dylan Gabriel is going to be a starting quarterback. 12-team
league. He may be able to get a 3rd back in that as well. So
here's the other part of it. Like, how early are those 2 first-round picks looking right now? Are they looking like top 5 picks? Are looking like bottom 4 picks? What are they looking like? Because that's going to matter. You kind of have an idea at this point how bad those picks are going to be. Me, I'm not trading 2 1s. If your team is not built to win right now,
well, that's where I was going to say. He says the first should be back end of the first round, 8 to 12. So he's trading with a playoff team, which is interesting to me because then it's a playoff team. Oh, wait, no, he's trading his own first-round picks. Never mind. So he's a playoff team, which I think does make a lot of sense. And that's where I'm looking to acquire Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know. I just feel like Jahmyr Gibbs has 2 to 3 good years left with him. I don't know that there's any more Jahmyr Gibbs coming down the pipeline. And as Nate has pointed out, he's a contending team. At 8-12, you're not getting the next Jahmyr Gibbs. So why not give up? I'm making this trade. If I can win a championship this year, I'm making this trade every time.
Yeah,
now, I will say, and Dan's a witness of this. Yeah, I say, and Dan's a witness of this. That mindset also gets you into a shit ton of trouble at some point down the road, because Dan's in a couple of dynasties with me, one of which I'm in dire straits, 0-5, worst team in the league. So,
yeah, I could usually actually beat some of the other guys. That'd be really nice of you.
I could use my own first round pick back, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is now I don't have my own first round pick, and it's put me in a bad situation. I don't know. I like the talent for Jahmyr Gibbs. He thinks that a lot of teams in this league suck. He mentions this in the comments, that a lot of teams in this league suck, and he can make a playoff push. 2-1s for Jahmyr Gibbs is fine with me. I would try to get the third back. Is this super flex? I guess I don't understand the quarterbacks being involved here. Like, if this is not super flex, the quarterbacks do nothing for me. Whatever you need to throw in there, get the third back, but I'm making the trade. If you can get into the playoffs, I'm making the trade, plain and simple. All right. We got some other people with their picks, and I already got them in the sheet. I'll throw them up here on the screen. Nate went with Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, definitely playing good stars, good matchups there. Taylor sticks with sticking with his guys. He goes Jaden Daniels and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Horvath goes Josh Allen and Jamar Chase, a little bit of hedging there. And Rob P just always with the most wild picks. He's trying to take this thing down with some weird ones. Justin Fields taking on the Jets, taking on Denver, who matchup I absolutely hate. But Teteroa McMillan, a lot of people think this could be a breakout game for Teteroa McMillan taking on that piss poor Dallas Cowboys defense.
Interesting.
He did say it was super flex. And I do think that changes things a bit, because now I'm starting to agree with Dan. Cam Ward, we had somebody on one of my shows this year who pointed out how first overall picks on average start 80 games in their career. Cam Ward, no matter what you say, no matter how bad he looks this year, he is safe. And he's going to have that job for a while. He does say it's your third quarterback, but I do like having 3 quarterbacks on a super flex.
I don't think he's looked that bad. I think he's throwing to hot garbage at receiver and tight end and running back. He has nothing on that team. He's surrounded by nothing.
To me, in a super flex, Ward and a 1 is enough for Gibbs, and I'm not paying another 1 to get Dylan Gabriel back in that trade. So I am actually going to wait. What is Darren saying? Did you pick players? Did I miss your player picks? Are you talking about your picks on the show? I talked about your picks, Darren. I told you where you agreed and disagreed with us. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think it's all his game picks.
We talked about them.
No, we didn't. You didn't tell us.
I told you every time when Darren agreed with us.
Not that game. The 2 players.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere. Okay. That's right. He texted me in the phone. I'm like, what the hell is going on? That's my bad. Calm the fuck down. I happen to have my phone right next to me. That's 100% on me. Baker and Emeka Ibuka. I do like that a lot. Emeka Ibuka has been absolutely eating. So, yeah, that's not a bad pick whatsoever there. That's 100% on me, Darren. My bad. I'm like, I'm going through the chat looking for him. Like, he doesn't text them to me every single week, and I'm not just a moron. So, my bad, y'all.
Listen, Ryan had to work a lot this week, guys. He's tired.
That's right. I said, he texted me in the phone. He said, how old am I? Old as shit, my guy. All right, Dan, let's get out of here. Clearly, I'm staying up past 10 o'clock. Marley is like, who stays up past 10 o'clock? Staying up past 10 o'clock. It's too much for my old ass. Parting words for our friends.
I love you guys. We live 2 very different lives, Ryan.
We do. 100%. Very, very much so. I don't love you guys, but I hope everybody except for Horvath has a wonderful week. I'm not going to pick too much on Horvath. He's already traded away his best player, so I don't have too much to worry about this week. So appreciate you making the timing of that trade, Steve. Very, very much so. Looking to coast again this week, see how everything goes, take my old ass to bed. It's going to be a good week. I'll text you guys in the phone later.
I want to again thank Kenny for watching the show last week and paying attention to everything I said. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Kenny tunes in later and gets mad at us. Everybody have a good night except for Horvath. I'll talk to you guys in the phone. Bye. Jesus Christ.